is a singularity that occurs among victims of narcissistic abuse. For some reason, if you've once been an abuse victim, you are more likely to be abused in the future than someone who has never been a victim of abuse. Narcissists select the victim based upon character traits the victim possesses and that the narcissist desires or is envious of. I have searched for years for reasons I have been abused. I've searched for something to help me understand why. The information that follows is by no means conclusive. However, it may provide some insight into some characteristics that are common in victims, and it may offer victims some sort of hope that they indeed did not do anything to ask for the abuse. Victims are typically loving, compassionate individuals. They do not cause the abuse, they are simply victims. It's common to hear the stupidity that a person who has been victimized would predispose to the condition because of either weakness or character deviance. On the contrary, victims are generally chosen for the positive qualities they have, which the abuser then seeks to appropriate. Why are the victims chosen? They are of interest to narcissists when they can be used or manipulated. They become an object of hate as soon as they try to work their way free, or they have nothing left to be used as supplies. Show tremendous intuition about where the weaknesses lie, finding how best to abuse. In an abusive relationship, respect disappears, and it's replaced by the dominance of one partner over the other. This is how the victims start to get infected with the narcissistic virus, with the intent to destroy the victim's identity. Everything is dictated with no possibility for negotiation. Not only do victims suffer, but they are ashamed of not being able to defend themselves. Some victims will develop Stockholm Syndrome, which will accentuate the denial of what is happening, and they will try to recover the demonic narcissists. Despite throwing themselves into the hopeless task of resurrecting the dead, they feel uncertain of their own strength and become almost defiant in their course of action. They have to prove they are strong and capable because of their self-doubt and vulnerability. This makes them especially susceptible during the seduction phase, when they usually get infected with a narcissistic virus. In order to break the victim's soul, demonic narcissists will foster and encourage feelings of blame and self-doubt to their victims. The ideal victim is a naive person with a natural tendency to overblame him or herself, and will try to win recognition by putting themselves at the demon's disposal. Narcissists take full advantage of this situation. The narcissistic virus, at this point, becomes active in the victim. Victims go so far as to accuse themselves. It's my fault if my parent is unhappy or abusive. If an error is committed, they'll assume the blame. Victims often feel extreme disappointment in themselves for not being able to accurately predict when abuse will occur. This is part of the contamination by demonic narcissists, to purposefully keep the victim off balance and to reduce any possible sense of self-confidence in being able to appropriately detect and react to pending abuse. Alcohol and drug abuse can often become a crutch or means of escaping the constant feelings of terror. The narcissistic virus at this point starts to erode the victim's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health with the following signs: headaches, drug dependence, panic attacks, nervous disorders, depression, obsessive-compulsive behaviors, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Learned helplessness settles in, and the victim believes that no one will be able to help resolve the dilemma. This belief is based on information planted by the narcissist, who might convince the victim that, if assistance is sought, the abuser will know about it. They may claim to have friends inside the police department or courts. The demonic narcissists threaten additional violence or even death if they find out that the victim has been trying to get help. Other times, victims may have concrete ideas about what assistance they would need to escape. Then, when they don't find that specific setup, they become convinced that their situation is hopeless. The virus completes its cycle when the victims fall into darkness and become a codependent or covert narcissist. This is part 1, about how the narcissist virus works. Part 2 is about methods to get rid of it. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember, knowledge is power.